again, yes, you're not the only one who doesn't know, but more people will. We are getting the word out. It's the right thing to do. It is the future. The future is actually here. We just need to get more people into the future.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Tech Times exclusive. Today, we are talking about FlyFeed, and I'll just give you a brief look. FlyFeed, they create protein-based powder or protein powder using black soldier flies. And today, to tell us about it, is FlyFeed's advisor, Ahmed Hassan. Ahmed, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks to you, Chris.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
Yeah, this is the future, man. This is the new wave, and I'm incredibly excited to learn about it. So yeah, we'll jump straight in. The first question I have is
let's please do it.
Yeah, obviously, what are FlyFeed's goals and mission, and what are you?
Yeah,
what
so the mission is actually the inspiring part. It's really it's not to reduce famine. It is to reduce malnutrition in the world. So we know what the population growth is going to be. We know where we're going to be at 2030, 2040, 2050. The estimations are that there's not going to be enough protein to properly feed the population. So alternative sources need to be found. So that's the mission of the company, to be one of those sustainable, high quality, high value protein sources for the world.
Okay, so it's not just solving hunger, but making sure that when hunger is being solved, it's being solved in maybe a healthier way.
Sure. So it's in a healthier way. It's in a sustainable way, and I could talk about that if you like. So the sustainability comes in that black soldier flies can be reared in a very small footprint factory. It's not like soy, it's not like cattle, it's not like chicken where you don't need lots of space, lots of land, lots of water, lots of resources. It's low resource input, high quality, high protein output. So that's where the black soldier fly comes into play. We're actually starting this up in Vietnam. So you get an environmental angle from that as well. It's the right climate, it's the right environment for them to healthily and productively grow. And it happens to be a country where there's an abundance of agriculture. So the agriculture waste coming from farming, because not everything is consumed or sold, that waste, which is perfectly healthy, good food, goes into the process, into the cycle, fed to the black soldier flies, where they grow, and then they become protein. And the operation yields protein powder, as you said, an oil coming from the process, and also their waste, which is called fraise. And that fraise can actually go back into the agricultural system as fertilizer. So if you can imagine agricultural waste coming into the production cycle, and then what comes out is protein powder, protein oil, and their waste, the fraise, back into the system. So it's fully circular. Nothing is wasted. So on a sustainability front, it scores amazingly high. So we're very happy about that.
Yeah, sustainability. I mean, that's definitely the way that we're moving, and I think everyone should be moving in this direction. So you said oil, protein oil. I personally don't know what that's used for.
So it's like the protein powder. It can be added as a protein source. Okay. It's a lipid that can be used to kind of not lubricate the product, but to add a nice texture to the product.
Oh, okay, I see. All right, so it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Uh, yeah. So let's speak about you for a second. What motivated you to join FlyFeed? And I know I said you're the advisor, but what actually does that
Sure.
encompass?
So, so what motivated me, Chris, was when I was introduced to the founder. His name is Arseni, amazingly intelligent and motivational and quite inspirational young man, far younger than me, and I won't even give you the numbers because it'll show my age. Uh, he's amazing. So when we met, he took me through the process of how he got to this. So when he left his previous venture, successfully exited his previous venture, he thought, well, what next? As every entrepreneur does. And with him, he said, well, I'll figure out what to do next, but I want it to be high impact to the world. And then what does that mean to me? Well, and he explored that, and he looked at the hunger factor, and he identified that, and then he drilled deeper. It became the protein factor, or the lack of protein, and then he dug deeper. What's a solution for that? Insects. So the way he progressively went and systematically started from how can I help, how can I impact, down to black soldier fly for protein was an amazing story for me. So as soon as he told me the story, I was hooked. What he was looking for was a bit of wisdom, let's say wisdom instead of age, and experience. And then he wanted somebody specifically who had a bit of Vietnam experience. So I lived there for 5 years in my previous in my previous career, and somebody with some pet nutrition experience. So my last 7 years of my prior career was also in pet food specifically, even though I had been on consumer products my entire career. So the fit was there, geographically, product-wise, mission-wise, purpose-wise. I mean, we get out of bed every day because of purpose. So this fit in very nicely, and then we just clicked. It was awesome. It was great.
All right.
So I was brought in. Just one footnote on that. So I was brought in for pets specifically. As you know, it's a startup. So things come up, things need to get done. It's all hands on deck. So it's wearing many hats, not just me, everybody. And then once we get a bit more established, I'll filter more off towards being specifically on the pet space. But right now it's on everything, or on a lot of things. I shouldn't say everything.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's completely understandable. So yeah, what potential? Oh, I have two questions. One that just popped in my, and I'll ask it first so I don't forget. Why black soldier flies?
So black soldier flies are easy to rear. They have a very short lifespan, about 30-ish days. So from inception or conception to processing, and they have a quite high percentage of protein versus body weight. Not the highest, but certainly on the upper ranges. So they become very cost effective, easy to rear, and as output quite high.
Okay. Yeah. So my next question, like what potential does, like, how would this, what's the word I want to use here? How would this impact maybe the pet food industry, or propel it? Let's say, how would this propel the pet food industry?
So I see lots of applications here. First of all, this was presented to me about 7 years ago as an innovation stream, and so I worked for a big multinational in the past, and that was one of the innovation streams. So it's been on the radar screen for a while. So how I see it is, every product has its consumer, and consumers are becoming now a lot more discriminating on the sustainability side. What they look for from a manufacturer, what they demand from a manufacturer, and consumer manufacturers have to comply with this. They have to delight, if you will, their consumer. So this plays into that very well from the sustainable front. On the product front, how it really helps is you have three major things, many things, but three major things when it comes to pet food is, will my pet eat it, like the palatability factor. So in this case, palatability is good. So there's no negative effect on flavor, because with a lot of proteins, it becomes an issue. Will the pet eat it? Dog, cats are a whole other breed, as finicky as can be. And then so we don't have an issue on that, because it is there are lots of products out there already, and the palatability is quite good. Then digestibility comes into play. So, you know, once my pet eats it, how are they going to digest it? Dogs have massive amounts of problems with digesting food. If you've ever had a dog, if they eat anything that they're not used to, God knows you know what happens. So here, black soldier flies and insects in general are very digestible. Actually quite good for a sensitive stomach. So processed well, and kind of a natural protein that can be processed. So once you get to that, a third concern, which is equal to the second concern, is skin sensitivity. So insects are looked at as hypoallergenic and don't cause issues to the skin of the pet. And this was what we talked about, endlessly in the pet industry. And I've even had dogs who, if they ate a certain food, they'd have rashes, they'd lose hair, they'd scratch a lot. So here we have a sustainable product that's palatable, digestible, not bad for the skin. I mean, my God. So that's really how it's going to propel, by giving manufacturers greater options in formulations, innovation, and technology going forward.
All right. Okay, that sounds good, especially for the pets, right? Because I know pet owners and animal lovers, you're basically responsible for the comfort of your animal. So I imagine, everything all the way down to, just exactly what you're feeding them is hugely important to people, to pet owners and things. So what are the challenges that current feed producers are facing, and how can insect farming help them overcome those difficulties?
Sure. So one of the challenges is innovation. So how do we keep innovating to get a better product to delight the consumer? Excuse me. And as just mentioned, this plays into that as well. But I would say a massive challenge facing them is meeting their consumer demand for sustainability, their own internal sustainability goals, plus all companies and all industries are facing external demands on their sustainability goals coming from policy, from government. So this is a huge challenge. How do they continue creating a better quality product for the consumer within a reasonable cost, that is highly sustainable and meets their goals? So this is where we come in very, very high on that front, and then cost comes into that. So if we look at them trying to meet sustainability goals with a product that delights, enhances their consumer experience, we play a huge role in that. So whereas, for example, meat protein or nut protein comes in at about $25 per kilo. Per kilo. Is that high? Is that low? We don't know. So if we go to the lower spectrum of that, you can get a chicken protein for about $2 a kilo. So you can see that the range is quite big. But are those the most sustainable ways to go? No, we know insect protein is a very sustainable way to go. And then we can come in, estimates are about $2 a kilo. So kind of half the low end of traditional animal protein. So just imagine the possibilities of getting sustainability, low cost, high quality protein that is, again, I'll go back to it, palatable, digestible, and not bad for the skin. This really helps the manufacturers meet their goals. And talking to some industry insiders over the past few months since I've been involved, they all have a pathway, a roadmap for sustainability. And these are, you know, big manufacturers. Some are huge, some are medium sized, and I even talked to some of the smaller manufacturers out there. They all have a pathway of sustainability. And the verbatims and quotes that keep coming back to me are, we know insect is going to be big. We don't know how big, but it's going to be big. We know what the costs are going to be. It's very, very attractive. And it's probably going to be a mix of sustainability avenues that we have to go down. However, they tell me we don't see a path to our sustainability goals without insect protein being a large part of the mix. So for me, when industry insiders, kind of, you know, heavy hitters in the industry say something like that, that bodes well for the industry, bodes well for the consumer, for sustainability, and for the manufacturers. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, well, talking about companies, right? Like, there's been a push over the last few years for a more sustainable protein, right? Whether it be, you know, pet food, or even, you know, all just across the board, more sustainable, and maybe, you know, something that everyone can appreciate versus the, you know, the meats and all those things. Like, you know, a lot of people, well, you know, people have their feelings, people have their opinions. So this is something that's definitely been, I would say, catching speed. I know it's been getting a lot more coverage. I've seen an uptick in, it's almost like celebrity endorsed type behavior with as far as the insect protein. So it's catching speed for sure. But in your opinion, or, you know, in your experience, what do you think's slowing it down?
So if you're talking about from a manufacturing standpoint,
yes, manufacturing, yeah.
I think it's just the life stage of a newer industry. So please, I don't say that insects are new. They've been around for billions of years. There's nothing new in insects, but trying to take them to high quality sustainable protein is relatively new versus the traditional farming, cows, chickens, pigs, etc. So it's like any new industry. It has to go through process. It has to go through procedures. It has to go through testing, formulation, R&D. What is the viable formula? What is the viable way forward? Then once all of that is satisfied, now you have to go into scaling, and it means you have to raise money. So you have to convince investors. So all of that, I would say, luckily has been done. Some colleagues in the industry have raised a fair amount of money to go into scaling. So I would say that the groundwork is done. Nothing is to stop it. What I like about FlyFeed is that they're, you know, a bunch of very, very smart people. So they've looked at the last 10, 15 years of what's been going on. And I won't use the word mistakes, but they've looked at the improvements that could have been made, or the improvements that have been made. They've looked at the learning curve. They've taken that all in and built it into the process. They've built it into the kind of the DNA, if you will, of how we're going to move forward. So I'll just give an example. So with those learnings, you take the learnings of the past, let's say 15 years of the industry, built into our new process. Everything now is AI. So we built that in, which maybe wasn't a factor 15 years ago when this was all starting. So AI is going to help us with humidification, watching the flies. Are they producing correctly? You know, with lots of cameras, millions of data points to fine tune and optimize the process. So because of that, we're actually not even going to go into pilot plant mode. So we do have a laboratory, we do our testing, but we'll go into full scale production. That's how confident the organization is that's what we're hearing back even from the industry, from investors, is like, well, if we've learned all this, let's just go do it. So to answer your question, nothing is to hold us back anymore. The demand is there. The industry, I would say the consumers, being the pet manufacturers, the aqua producers, the agri producers, there's a demand there, and their comments back to us are let's go, because there's not enough supply to meet what the market needs. So for the learning reasons, for the AI reasons, for the demand reasons, that's why we move full force. So I would just say it was a matter of time. There's not a demand, there's not a consumer problem, there's not an industry problem to move forward. So that's why we're gung ho and going to move quickly.
Okay. So you're not in production yet, like full production?
No, so we've just signed for land and for property and building. So we'll go into beginning production at the end of this year, full scale middle of next year. So that's a plant, first plant, full scale, can produce about 2,500 tons of product. Amazingly, will consume a vast amount, I think it's 40,000 kilos of agricultural waste. So imagine, instead of being dumped and thrown away, that can come into a process in Vietnam. So we'll do that one plant starting end of this year, early next year, going into full scale production on that plant by mid of next year. And then there's a very specific strategic plan that takes us to 2, 4, 10 over the next 3 to 4 years.
Okay. All right. So when you do start to go full production, is FlyFeed going to be a brand in itself, or will you be licensing your product to established pet brand companies?
No, so it will be a B2B business. So okay. we would sell what we would call raw materials or ingredients to the manufacturers. And what I like about that is, as we have kind of more flexibility in our process from the learnings of the past, from the AI of the future, and then the various factories that we're planning, is that we can hone in and work with our partners, our customers, to kind of specify what they need. So if you're an aquaculture partner of ours, you need a specific product. If we're looking at dog and cat, you might need some specific specs as well. So we'll be able to manage that with our partners through the supply chain and flexibility of the manufacturer, and just the scale of the manufacturer.
Right. All right. Well, I got one more question for you, Ahmed. What would you say to the pet owners that are saying, I don't know if I want to feed my cat insects? How would you address this?
So it was a thing, and I wouldn't say it's no longer a thing, because you get some imagery in your head, and when I talk to people about this, they're thinking there's a plate of insects in front of their pet, or even in front of them. It's not like that at all. Just imagine in a kibble, you don't see cow, you don't see chicken, you don't see salmon in there, right?
That's a great point.
So what they would get is a powder that goes into the manufacturing process. To be fair, most of manufacturing in pet is powdered protein, either from a chicken, a salmon, a rabbit, a cow, a lamb, what have you. So this is just another form of protein powder that happens to be very high quality, very good cost, and massively more sustainable. So I would say, just off the top of my head, things that I've heard in the past, I'm hearing less of today. So it seems to be less of a problem. EU from a regulatory standpoint has eased the path. So there's production in Europe already. It's been approved for human consumption. So for example, you can go into a shop, not a pet shop, a supermarket in Europe today, and find, for example, an insect powder that is a supplement for your Weetabix or for your muesli or for whatever, if you want a protein boost. So the perception is changing. And as in on the pet food front, as they look at the benefits more and more in sensitivity, in digestibility, and as the sustainability aspect becomes more and more important, just as a one side. So my daughter will never buy anything. She does her research on everything she buys on how sustainable is this company, how sustainable is this product before she makes the purchase decision. And I would say pet owners are more skewed towards that, especially the younger ones, our future consumers. I would say much more skewed towards that. So I think that factor that you're saying is brushing off already, is going away already. And just as the benefits rise and the sustainability factor becomes more entrenched, I think we'll see people move towards it in mass, and we're seeing it already.
Okay, well, yeah, it's all super interesting, and I actually, prior to this discussion, I had no idea that this was even a thing. So I'm sure I'm not the only one. I imagine. I hope. Well, I don't hope. Well, you know what I mean. Like, how? There's no way I'm the only person that doesn't know about this.
Of course not. Of course not.
So,
but we'll get the word out.
For sure. That's what we're doing right now. Let's get the word out. And for the people, for our viewers and everything, where can we learn more about FlyFeed? For the pet owners, it's like, ooh, the website.
So go to flyfeed.eco, flyfeed.eco. And they can see our website, and they can learn about the process. They can understand what a black soldier fly is. They'll understand why Vietnam, how AI fits into it, and kind of our roadmap to eventually get to people food. 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Actually,
we welcome everyone to do that.
All right, Ahmed. Well, thank you very much for joining us. FlyFeed is, again, I'm always amazed every interview I have, and this one is right at the top. It's super interesting tech. It's really interesting. What's the word I want to use? Vision that you guys have there at FlyFeed, and I think the world will be a better place for it.
Well, thanks for having me. Always love to talk about this topic. And again, yes, you're not the only one who doesn't know, but more people will. We are getting the word out. It's the right thing to do. It is the future. I think you started off the interview with the future. The future is actually here. We just need to get more people into the future, if you will. So I want to thank you, and thank you for the great questions. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you too, Ahmed. For the viewers, as always, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And yeah, stick around. We'll be back with another Tech Times exclusive soon.